morning and welcome to the Camnet Community Breakfast Show today, Monday, 4th April 2022. I am your host, Zipora Mshala, and I will be joined by my co-host, Alex Shimba. Today we're talking about Constituency Development Fund, CDF. As you are aware, the government last week released the CDF for the first quarter of 2022. So what is your take on the CDF? How do you feel it should be distributed? So we're going to be joined by the Zambia Council for Social Development, Executive Director Leah Mitaba, and Iteshteji Member of Parliament, Mr. Mutinda Twambo, to help us discuss Constituency Development Fund at 8 hours on the main interview. So we expect your intake at that time. And at 7:30, we're going to open the phone lines talking about what is your take on the monthly adjustments of fuel. So you can call in and let us know if you feel that fuel prices should be adjusted monthly. But for now, let's stretch a bit and do the morning boost as we start our productive Monday.
A very good morning to you and welcome to Morning Boost. This is Isaac Macha, always here in the morning to make sure that you have a great day. Therefore, today we're going to do some simple workouts, different kinds of workouts in 5 minutes. As usual, it's going to be a warm-up. Let's go. Start with a warm-up. Good morning. Let me know where you're watching us from. Let's go. Very easy. Okay, I'm gonna change very soon. Here's the next one. Thank you. Trotting, trotting, trotting. Do this anywhere. You can do this in your kitchen, from your living room, outside, car park, anywhere. Okay, here we go now. So the first workout we're going to do, we'll do some mountain climbers. Okay, let's go. We'll do both for the beginners and for those already in the workout system. Go down, see my body. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. Make sure that you're pushing in your knee in. 10. So I'm going to do 40 mountain climbers. 20 will be basic. The next 20 will be a little bit advanced. Last 10. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should be feeling your hands by now. 8, if you're doing it correctly. Okay, so that was 20. You can take a 15-second break, sip some water. Let's do the last 20 of mountain climbers now. Yes, she just sipped some water. Don't mind, the person behind the camera. Let's go now. 20 of them. Okay, 10 in breaks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 more to go. Okay, let's go. Last 10. I'm sure my 15-second break is up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Here's your active break. That was 10. Try this. Leave a comment. Let's see how you're doing. Let's match. 2 steps each. 2, 2. 2 steps. I'm going to add a grapevine now. 2 each. Grapevine. Try this, daddy. 2 each. Stay at it. I'm gonna change soon. Let's march. Keep marching. 1, 2. 1, 2. Let's run now. See? You just need a little space for you to do your running. Almost done, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I always feel good every time you join me. So make sure to do this every day and you're going to be fit. Don't miss another session next week. This is Isaac Matsa and I'm signing out with a punch on your face. 1, 2.
I hope you had a wonderful stretch because I did. And so I'm now joined by my co-host Alex. Good morning, Alex. How are you?
Good morning, Zipporah. How are you doing?
I'm good. Did you stretch a bit as well?
Yeah, you can see I'm still
You still
shaking.
feel a bit
No.
in the weekend mood.
Well, you are the witnesses.
Yes.
I'm very active now. I think I've done the needful. And thank you to Mr. Isaac for that well done job. He's always on point with exercise. Those exercises do work.
They're actually painful.
No.
They're painful as you start.
Yeah.
In the,
Yes, as you start out.
week, but then
Yeah. When you get used
you
to.
go on.
So good morning, our people out there, those who are following us even on Facebook. We say our good mornings and hope we'll be together even the rest of the program as you do other things. So right about now, we'll just jump into our next segment, which is the health segment with Dr. Kaluva Nyangu, who's going to take us with the topic of prostate cancer. Just stay back and stay tuned as you follow this segment as she joins us in the studios to discuss that topic.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Kaluva Nyangu from the University Teaching Hospital, Department of Surgery. I'm a urologist. Today we are going to talk about prostate cancer. So prostate cancer is a cancer that arises from the prostate gland. So what is the prostate gland? The prostate gland is a gland that is found in men and it produces substances that are responsible for the liquefaction of semen. So prostate cancer arises from the prostate gland. It is one of the most common cancers in men, and worldwide it is the second most common cancer in men, with lung cancer being the most common cancer. So what is the epidemiology of prostate cancer and what are the risk factors of prostate cancer? So the risk factors of prostate cancer are age greater than 50, black race or being of African descent, age greater than 45, and with a family history of prostate cancer either on the paternal side or from the maternal side, or age greater than 40 with a history of breast cancer in the family, what is called the BRCA1 gene. So how does prostate cancer present? So prostate cancer may present asymptomatically, so that means there could be no symptoms, or it could present with symptoms, that is what we refer to as lower urinary tract symptoms, or it could present with symptoms of metastatic disease, and that will include things such as back pain or what we call acute spinal cord compression if it complicates. So, how do you make a diagnosis of prostate cancer? So, a diagnosis of prostate cancer is made on the basis of PSA and digital rectal exam. So PSA is a substance that is produced by the prostate gland, and in prostate cancer it increases. So a raised PSA will raise a suspicion of prostate cancer, and that, coupled with a digital rectal exam, is also used in the diagnosis of prostate cancer, with a definitive diagnosis of prostate cancer being made on biopsy of the prostate gland. So, in view of this, how is prostate cancer managed, and why is it important to screen for prostate cancer? So, it is important to screen for prostate cancer because in our setting, especially among people of African descent, it is found that by the time they present with prostate cancer, they present with advanced disease and more aggressive disease. So early screening for prostate cancer will prevent the progression to advanced disease, and thus it can be found at an early stage when it is curable. So, how do we treat prostate cancer? So, treatment of prostate cancer is dependent on what we call whether the disease is localized or it's advanced disease. So, you have a classification where you have low risk disease, intermediate risk disease, and high risk disease, where we look at several factors that include the stage of the prostate cancer, what we call the Gleason score. And these are some of the factors we look at when looking at the risk stratification of prostate cancer. So how do you manage? For localized disease, so this means disease that is confined to the prostate and it hasn't spread beyond the prostate gland. This is an opportunity for curative treatment, and in this case, we can use radical prostatectomy, which is a removal of the prostate gland, including the capsule in which the prostate gland is found, or radiotherapy. There is also an option of what we call active surveillance in low-risk disease. That is if the stage of the disease is not advanced. So active surveillance is where you postpone treatment with the intention of treating with disease progression. So this is an option for low-risk disease, that is very early stage disease, and it has found that with active surveillance, people can live even up to 25 years, even with the presence of prostate cancer. So what justifies management of prostate cancer using active surveillance is that you have to weigh the benefits of treatment against the quality of life. So you find that in a low-risk disease, sometimes you will postpone treatment for the sake of in order to have a better quality of life for the patient. So for advanced disease or for metastatic disease, that is disease that has spread beyond the prostate, prostate cancer is treated using what we call androgen deprivation therapy. So what this means is that we remove the source of testosterone, or we suppress testosterone production. So this can be either medical management or surgical management. So medical management is where we use drugs in order to suppress the testosterone or to block the points where testosterone binds on the cells. And surgical management is where we actually do castration in order to cut out the source of testosterone. The justification behind this is because prostate cancer thrives on testosterone. So by lowering the testosterone levels, we slow down the progression of prostate cancer. So on that note, what is the take-home message for prostate cancer? So remember that prostate cancer in people of African descent usually takes a more aggressive course, and by the time it's being diagnosed, the disease is advanced. So it is important to screen for prostate cancer if you are of African descent, if you are greater than 50 years of age, if you are greater than 45 years with a family history of prostate cancer, or you are greater than 40 years with a family history of breast cancer. In terms of symptoms, if you notice any change, for example, weak flow of urine, blood in urine, blood in semen, if you notice any of these symptoms, this should alert you to seek the services of a urologist. On that note, I end today's talk. Thank you.
Well, quite profound information out there. Thank you, Doctor, for that profound information. I hope our viewers were able to follow through and just get some insights concerning prostate cancer. Well, what have you gotten really as we even head to another segment, Zipporah?
Maybe for me, really, the takeaway is the issue of like monthly or like frequent checkups, because in Zambia we've got this habit
of not doing.
Where so you just need to every once in a while you go and even just do, apart from just maybe prostate cancer, you can just an overall checkup of yourself. Find out if there's anything wrong with you somewhere that could lead to that could actually prevent deaths in areas where they can be prevented. Because imagine you just realize later in your life.
Yes, when the issue has advanced. Quite something that we need to take note on that. So right about now, we go to another segment which is called the money market, and we do here just to make this announcement that these two segments, the hot segment and the money market, are up for grabs in terms of advertisement. And if you want your company really to have that visibility, you can come through and sponsor these two segments, that is the money market and also the health segment. So right about now, I just present how the money market looks like as of today, the 4th of April 2022. So the United States dollar is buying at 17 kwacha.62 Ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha.97 Ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 23.08 Ngwe and selling at 23.53 Ngwe. The Euro is buying at 18 kwacha.89 Ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha.26 Ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha.21 Ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha.23 Ngwe. So there I have it. We've seen a bit of appreciation from the kwacha in terms of United States dollars in exchange to kwacha. Last week 17. Last week we were talking about 18 kwacha, and so I think there's a bit of appreciation from last week to this week as far as on this desk we are concerned. So basically that's how the money market looks like. Like we earlier said, these two segments, the health segment and the money market, are up for grabs. You can come through and do sponsor these two segments. Yes. Next on our subject, the zooming headline, just to show what we aired in last night's bulletin, especially on the community desk. We're having something to do with the Access to Information Bill, which has stalled for quite some years, and stakeholders have been on it. No, it's delayed, this and that. The education bodies and everything, the unions. Now, what are we having commenting on the Access to Information, as it were?
Okay, so according to the Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services, they're saying there's no need because here it's saying the PS that Mr. Kennedy Kalunga said the bill should be taken to all provinces to get stakeholder consultations. But then Giaz is saying this is not necessary. We've got previous ministerial reports and commitments to make the ATI bill. Actually, the Access to Information Bill, the promise was made in 2011. So that's like over 10 years.
Yes.
So this was actually a campaign, one of the campaign promises by the Patriotic Front when they came into office, saying they will actually introduce this bill to Parliament, and this bill is actually aimed at like increasing access to information. For example, when you want information on something, for example, if you're suspecting
investigate something,
yes, and then you can't just go and say, give me this information. Or first 27, you can't say, give me this information on this because there's no legal backing to the same.
Yes.
So people have been feeling like this is actually like hindering transparency and the fight against corruption. So they're saying we need to have the access to information bill if we're serious about our fight against corruption, really. So we've got different stakeholders like here, Mr. Chipenzi, saying stop giving excuses. So he's now calling on the new administration. I don't know if they're still new.
Yeah,
on the UPNG
that's 7 months down the line. So it's still relatively new.
Yes, to actually act on it, because we've seen that this promise was made in the previous administration, but the previous administration has gone, and now we've got a new administration. So really, there are concerns about access to information. So let's just take a look at that story from Mr. McDonald Chipenzi and hear more on the ATI bill.
For a long time in Zambia, the advocacy for the access to information or freedom of information been associated with journalists. The thinking is that journalists are individuals who need information for their work. This is despite the fact that the access to information is a right provided for in international law, which must be enjoyed by everyone. However, due to this misconception, the fight for the ATI law has been left to the media. For now, the only assurance for the media is that there is political will from President Hakainde Hichilema, who guaranteed a free press and of course assured to deliver the access to information law.
Long-awaited access to information bill will be actualized, and we will foster self-regulation of the media. I think the media operate better in terms of media institutions, in terms of media practitioners, when they self-regulate. Obviously, when you self-regulate, you take responsibility to deliver correct media, to deliver facts, to deliver, if you like, fairness.
However, recently, Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kennedy Kalunga announced that the government will take the Access to Information ATI bill for the 10 provinces of the country in order to widen stakeholder consultation on the bill. But this statement disappointed civil rights activist Prebna Changala.
By time, because they want to confuse the enemy. You are the enemy. First and foremost, check who made the statement. A permanent secretary. The Access to Information Bill is almost 20 years old, if you are not aware. It started in 2001. You are still fighting it up to today. Now they want to take it to the 10 provinces to do what? And who are they going to find in those 10 provinces? Who are they going to talk to? They are just trying to tell you that we are not ready. They have started backtracking. The area you catch them, the better.
But Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services GIA's initiative, Executive Director McDonald Chipenzi, says now is the time to act on the ATI and not for mere talks.
We want to move from speech to action. And we cannot continue to be rewriting speeches. Okay? The PS today is speaking the same thing which the PS said yesterday. The other PS said in 2020. The other PS said in 2011. No. This time, all what the ministry should be doing or government should be done is just to look at what has been said, what was committed, and move on. Not only that, let us use parliamentary reports on government assurance.
He says the Access to Information law has dragged for a long time, hence it must be enacted as assured by the United Party for National Development Administration.
Reports where government assured access to information will be ready in this year, and what. Let's hold those things. The new government now should just come, extract those assurances and put action to it. We cannot continue to talk. We have talked and talked. And we cannot continue talking until Jesus comes. We must, as a Christian nation, we must realize that when Jesus comes, there will be no talking. It will be action. Either you go to hell or you go to heaven. Simple. Nothing like, no, mwana, me, I need to explain. There's no explanation. Is account for your stay on earth.
On the 3rd of May 2022, Zambia will join the global community in marking the World Press Freedom Day, again without the access to information law, but commitments. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
There you have it, Gears Executive Director, Mr. Chipenzi, commenting on the ATI in terms of it being delayed. And I love the way the story was compiled. You know, it gets us back to the first press briefing that the Republican president held at Community House. I don't know if you monitored that one. Just one of the first press briefing, and he promised to say, we are going to push for this access to information and press freedom. But now, ish.
Okay, so that's why you have stakeholders, they're holding them to account. And really, in my talk with these people like FODE, peers, they're really calling, especially on issues like the same ATI bill, are saying really the new administration should not try to use it to their advantage, like the lack of a bill, because they're saying, okay, most political parties, when they're in the opposition, they'll say, okay, we're going to do this when you come, even we're going to get rid of this, we're going to do that. But then they're saying, when they come now, when it's actually beneficial. Because
the access to that bill really opens up.
As well as the Public Order Act.
Yeah.
You see the same line, Public Order Act at 8 years. So they're saying, most opposition political parties really, when they're in the opposition, they say, we're going to do this,
promising, yeah.
When something seems to be benefiting them, they're somehow still reluctant. So now that's now stakeholders who are actually calling on the UPN to actually make a different trend to this and act on the matter. And
then the PAs, Mr. Kalunga, goes on to say we need to go vast consultation. I mean, we've done those things from 2011, like you made comment on, like from 2011 we've been consulting people, stakeholders, to comment on them, what are the advantages, the disadvantages, if any. But now we seem like we're just going, starting afresh, the whole process. I mean, anyways, the technocrats, so we get to see how that story really unfolds. Next, also, we did compile one other story on NUPES. NUPES it's actually the National Union of Public and Private Education in Zambia, educators in Zambia, pardon me, that has given the Minister of Education an ultimatum of up to the next term, you know, to remove retirees that were paid all their dues to vacate government houses. So if they were paid and they were sorted out, those people should actually vacate the government houses. They give a reason to this ultimatum, that this is in order to allow those those now in service to occupy the houses. Let's just take a look on that story and we get full context on this same.
Implementing pensions reforms consultation on the proposed introduction of pre-retirement partial benefits withdraw under the National Pension Scheme Authority NAPSA have progressed. Sunday, the 3rd of April 2022, the National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPES, held a media briefing in Lusaka which saw various issues get discussed, starting from the pension reforms, the amendments of Retirement Act, among other things. And speaking during the media briefing, NUPES Executive President Victor Muyumba disclosed that the union will conduct a countrywide consultation process from its members on what they think should constitute the pension reforms. The union also called on government to amend the National Pension Scheme, Amendment number 7 of 2013, in order to reduce the retirement age.
the fact that partial withdrawal, as has been discussed, is needed is not debatable. We need to have this implemented. But at the same time, our call on the government is to ensure that there is a sensitization of the members in terms of entrepreneurial skills. Because if this money is withdrawn and taken to other use other than investment, then we are going to have high levels of poverty. We need to have a certain mindset and attitude, even as we advocate for the partial withdrawals.
Mr. Muyumba also called on government to come up with a statutory instrument, SI, that will introduce a mandatory industrial break for the last 3 weeks of every year. A move he claims will help enable workers to get used to what they want to engage in after retirement. Meanwhile, the union has given government an ultimatum to vacate all those who retired and got paid their full retirement packages but are still occupying government houses.
We have a number of members that have complained, they have come through to complain to the union that they remain unaccommodated, and yet the institutional houses that are there have continued being occupied by people that have been paid in full in terms of retirement packages. So we give government up to the beginning of next term to ensure that these retirees vacate the houses. If this is not done, we are going to ask our members that don't have housing units in those areas where retirees are occupying houses to wait until accommodation is made available. Because we can't continue with this trend. It is creating a wrong attitude altogether. And everybody now will be saying, even when I retire, I can stay in an institutional house. This is encouraging laziness.
Meanwhile, Federation of Free Trade Union of Zambia National Women's Chairperson Charity Tembo says the partial withdrawal of one's retirement package is a progressive move that will help especially the women folk have the financial capacity to do something constructive.
With this, since it will be partial, meaning there will be that gradual or withdraw, today you withdraw so much, you use it maybe to acquire some land, you start preparing up to the last day. So this actually will reduce poverty, and of course sending us to early graves, because once you deplete everything that you got as in your lump sum and you don't use it or spend it to the well-intended purpose, I'm telling you that is death.
President Hakainde Hichilema promised to ensure that pensioners do not have to wait until retirement before they can start benefiting from their pension contributions. The now governing party also pledged to see to it that NAPSA contributors are given the choice periodically access their pension on a percentage basis in real time and ahead of retirement. The option of the partial withdrawal of pension contribution is for specific purpose, including investment in business, among other things. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
But there you have it from Nopez actually making comment on the issue of early retirement, and also the fact that those people were paid, those who were working in the public service should vacate the government houses so that those who are now in the service should occupy them. I don't know what you make of that call really. And the ultimatum.
Really, if they have been paid, yes, they're no longer civil servants. I guess if you say they have not been paid, but if they have been paid.
So it's quite genuine.
I think maybe the same because we've had like the civil servants and allied workers union of Zambia, so who's actually advocating for the same, like early retirement. And now that we've heard that the matter has progressed, I'm sure like that is actually progress for that's progress for people in the civil service.
Yeah, and also just the last one. You know, in the water and sanitation sector, we've had a lot of challenges. So yesterday we did interview one of the president for Plumbers Association of Zambia, who actually was talking about them having this responsibility of developing a national plumbing standard code that will aim at regulating the industry. And this is just to make sure that there's a standardization in their works as plumbers across the country, and also to compete the international standards, as it were. So this is a story that we compiled just in a bid to address challenges in water and sanitation sector. Let's just take a look. The water and sanitation sector has continued to face its challenges, ranging from supply to poor sanitation. And this is due to various factors, which includes the lack of proper plumbing infrastructure in the country. President for the Plumbing Association of Zambia, Moses Chongo, has disclosed that the association is developing a national plumbing standard code which will aim at regulating the plumbing industry.
Currently, we are developing what we call National Plumbing Standard Code. This National Plumbing Standard Code, it is the law now coming in Zambia for the first time since the independence of this country, which will actually regulate the plumbers in the country, and also to ensure that things are put in order and no shortcuts, and to ensure that everyone who's working in plumbing works need to be registered and also tested. And when doing such works in plumbing works, the person have to sign what we call the warranty certificate, which will be also shared with the client, also with the organization, the Plumbers of Zambia, in conjunction with the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Hygiene and other stakeholders. So our plan in Zambia is to ensure that plumbing standards are considered by the community and by the government at large.
Mr. Chongo since appealed to community members to desist from vandalism habits and throwing hard materials that block pipes, thereby affecting several pipe systems.
Zambia. We have got a lot of challenges in Zambia, especially in terms of water, sanitation and hygiene, where we find that the mentality of the people in the community, they actually contribute to the blockages of the sewer system, and at the same time, in terms of pipe work vandalism, the community also contribute. And yet, the water utility company, the government is spending a lot of money to construct or maybe to reconstruct this water utility infrastructure. And what we are planning to do as the Plumbers of Zambia is to ensure that, number one, people who are dealing with these works, or maybe people who are in this infrastructure development of water, sanitation, and plumbing, are registered member of the Plumbers Association of Zambia. And this is because we want to enhance or maybe to link the people to understand the importance of this industry in the country.
Plumbing skills are critical in supplementing the water sector development in the country. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
So there you have it, and there have been various calls from people, not just in the plumbing sector, but as well as carpentry, for formalization of the sectors. They want to have some form of representation so that their job can actually be done in a formal manner, because they want the professions to be recognized as a real job and not just a casual job out there.
So that was Mr. Moses Chongo, who is actually the president for the association. And he went on to encourage the community members not to continue the vandalism and also the blocking of pipes using these hard materials that they throw in the system. So there is need for sensitization and also for people to desist such habits, because they block the entire system. And if one pipe is blocked from the other, it affects the other neighborhood. So basically, it's calling for that sense of ownership, really, with our system in the water sector. So basically, that was the story, considering that there have been a number of challenges in the water and the sanitation sector, and the Plumbing Association of Zambia calling for a formalization of their sector in that pattern. We'll just take a short break, and when we come back, we'll introduce another segment on the issue of fuel, and we'll open our phone line so that we can together participate and also make contribution. Let's just have a short break and stay tuned.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now we discuss the fuel issues and your take on the monthly adjustment of fuel prices. So we noticed on 31st of March 2022, the Energy Regulation Board actually adjusted upwards the pump prices of petroleum products by 4.54 ngwe per liter, and that is for diesel, and also 3.93 kwacha for kerosene. So basically we have now the new prices from 21, which we were buying 21.56 ngwe to now 26.50 ngwe, and that's a difference of 4 kwacha.54 ngwe. So that was for petrol. And we've seen a number of statements, commentaries on social media and also in the mainstream going so, well, tense issues, especially on the transport part, where people are now scared, like we'll be paying much than they were paying before. So basically, what's your comment on the issue of fuel? We're calling for contribution, your comments on Facebook as we stream live, and also the numbers that are scrolling on your screens. Have talked too much, Paul.
Yes, definitely. And maybe just to set our talk this morning, we're just going to take a look at a story that was compiled by Patrick Soko on 1st April on the fuel adjustment, so that we can take a look at what is out there, and we're expecting your views on the matter. Do you feel that fuel should be adjusted monthly? Does this disrupt economic activities, or do you feel it is actually a good move to make sure that we have cost-reflective prices out there? And what do you think of the current increment? What is your experience in terms of fuel, in terms of bus fares, and just what is your general take on the increment of fuel? So let's take a look at that story by Patrick Soko.
They understand that the cost of living is too high. Vintu vadula. Every week, mitengo ya vintu ichinja. Every week. Manje ma salary yama chinja every week. Yeah. Salary yankala constant for a year. If you are lucky, once in a year you have an increment. But mitengo ikwela every week. Banga kale banji bantu, banga konze banji manyumba, banga sunge banji banja. Vikwati vayamba kuononge.
Agony, discomfort, agitation and disappointment has engulfed many Zambians in the wake of the fuel hike by the Energy Regulation Board, ERB, prompting many Zambians to think they misunderstood President Hakainde Hichilema when he assured cheap fuel and 3 meals a day during the August 12 general election campaign trail.
Names are Piri Jaffet. Issue of fuel, it has just gone too much high, and we don't expect the economy to pick up in this way, because fuel is the key of everything. When fuel goes high, even our local foods will be higher, especially our staple food will be higher, meal will go high, everything has to go high. And even ourselves with transport here, it has become difficult to be charging people like 10 kwacha. Some of them are refusing.
We were many issues that because of the ifakira of people then vantu vauza marankani vakape kujaira new prices
pafupi pafagira na 1 year kabokwana pagram kadhani katatu kadhani kaviri so feel hivi netinga dandalo kuchefiro maningi cha.
The ERB has adjusted petroleum products by 4 kwacha 54 ngwe per liter for petrol and 4 kwacha 68 ngwe per liter for diesel, while kerosene has been adjusted by 3 kwacha 93 ngwe. The major direct consequence is the increase in transport, given that the majority poor Zambians depend on the public transport, which is in the hands of the private sector. And before the new prices are announced, the burden has already been shifted to commuters. Negotiations for a minimum fee have done nothing but subject commuters to embarrassment with an available option of walking, thus hindering productivity.
About the fuel, so they're asking about 5 quarters. So as a beer as a taxi driver, the fuel up has been high.
So how much are you now charging?
Yeah, we have just, because the fuel has gone high, it's about 10 quarters. So first or so, we have increased the price.
But the customers are refusing?
Yeah, some they're complaining, like these ones also, they're asking about 5 quarters. So as, for instance, we are, on the port, on the port about 4. As taxi drivers, we carry about 4 people. Okay, now if you go on this side, here from here Camnet Road is about 2.5 kilometers. Okay, now for us to make the profit, there's no profit. So we have just decided to increase about 10 quarters of 1 capacity.
In Batod, Kabushi constituency, lawmaker Bowman Rusambo shared his views on the subject of fuel.
He failed to buy the 5.5 kg bag of minimum. Even the Kapamela he was condemning, and that cooking oil was condemning. People can't afford even Pamela today. We talked about climate change. Aka in the HM and the UPND, they started laughing at us. No, we have just failed. There's nothing like that. There's no climate change. There's no global warming. It's just all excuse. They even went further to condemn us on COVID-19, if you recall very well. How can we agree today that all these increments which we are seeing in fuel, it's because of Russia-Ukraine conflict?
During the Vice President question time, Ms. Nalmango made the following remarks.
The promises were extremely genuine, and we will strive to make the lives of Zambians better. Yes, it increased yesterday, but for us, it is as a result of external factors upon which we have no control.
The fuel increase translates into a rise in the price of essential commodities, hence the need to identify coping remedies. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
So there you have it, a very interesting story indeed.
It is. I love the way he started. You can even tell the transition in time. Like we're from here, this time to another end, and now we have reached this far. So basically it's telling a story where you can even get to have an independent thought really on the issue. And that's why we call him, because if you saw how it started, it's from the president when he was still in the opposition, actually demonstrating how life and also the economy has hiked and making hard for ordinary citizens to actually navigate through life and also make ends meet. So basically it's demonstrating the cooking oil, how much it is expensive, the milli meal, how much it is expensive, and how hard really for people to actually even make, build, for instance, because of the fluctuation in terms of payments and salaries being low. So that was packed, and now Patrick just revise it and just to make a context and being understood. So that was quite interesting. I followed it to the latter and just to make sure that I understand what he's trying to say. And from the concluding remarks where the Vice President saying actually the promises are genuine, but this is due to external factors. Well, it also quite understandable. Global. Yeah, it's a global issue. So, but that's how Mr. Bowman somewhere is saying. But as they even accused us to even talk of COVID-19 at that time, 2019, 2020, it was really on its peak, and the PF administration were really loud on internet. All this is due to, to the pandemic.
It's a global
crisis. So it's like history repeating itself anyways.
So really, and anyway, people have been saying we didn't vote for Ukraine and Russia voted for you. So what are you doing? Because
I'm telling you, it's hard there out there.
Okay, so like basically on Saturday we had the press briefing by Mr. Nonkom, a member of the Energy Committee in the UPND, and Mr. Charles Kaisala, who is the chairman of the Energy Committee. And so they were just trying to explain really like how the external factors are affecting Zambia. And so really, but the challenge from journalists really was, but what are you as the UPND going to do to make sure that your manifesto is actualized?
Yeah.
And so we saw the Energy Committee of the UPND actually expressing confidence that as soon as the war subsides, we're going to have, but then really how long is the war going to last? So people are really challenging them. So I think let's just take a look at that story on UPND, on fuel, and we expect your views on the matter.
The moment the Ukraine war subsides, I can promise you there will be so much oversupply because people are now speculating that there will be no market. What will it do? This price, I can promise you, come June, July, it will drop to about $60 per barrel. That's almost 70% drop. What does that do? It informs the price or the retail price, farm price on the Zambian side. So I think we're on course. This is a shock, which we did not envisage. A war is not something that Zambia could have anticipated. But I think we have to face the hard reality, is that there's a war which is external, but it's creating some shocks on the domestic economy.
Complaining about the fact that every month we are reviewing the price of fuel. The bottom line is, I think that is a better pricing model, because if you remember from where we're coming from, we used to use what is called cost plus model, where all the expenses in the supply chain are taken into account. But this model which ERB is using, it's actually called import parity pricing, whereby you take into consideration all the factors. As you may be aware, the major determinants of pricing of fuel is the exchange rate and the international market pricing. So when these things changes, automatically the price of fuel changes also. So when you are using IPP, it means every month, if there is a reduction, like my colleague has mentioned, in the international market, it immediately benefits the consumer. So I wanted to clarify that that is actually a better model.
Yeah, quite an interesting story there if you followed it. Actually, the Energy Committee member actually put in the blame, if we're to say that, on the Ukraine and Russia situation across the borders. So basically, these are the things that are popping out to be the main reason why we are having certain fluctuation in prices, especially on fuel.
Yeah, and I remember I also did ask a question saying it's stated in the UPND manifesto that you are going to lower the cost of fuel and other commodities. So really, when do we expect stabilization? And so the response really, or they are offered solution from the Energy Committee. They are like, if we were to let the private sector solely providing fuel and government just acting as regulators to the same, then would have lower fuel prices because there would be a lot of competition among the private sector. So they're saying that could be one of the solutions. The government withdrawing the provision of fuel, leaving to the private sector to enhance competition and just acting as a regulator through the Energy Regulation Board. I don't know really if for that idea.
Yeah, I don't know. So because you might have
really
the competition left to the private sector, they will also maybe be taking advantage of
high
that.
competition, meaning there will be actually like trying to supply at the lowest
at the lowest point.
And,
yeah, it can work. It's workable.
If we maintain prices, like people are saying, no, we maintain at 17. So according to the press briefing, they were saying if we maintain prices at 17 kwacha and not, so they were saying Zambia would run out of fuel in a matter of 2 weeks because that's the amount of reserves that we have. If we say we keep fuel at 17 kwacha, we use our local fuel, it would run out in a matter of 2 weeks because we don't have enough. in our reserves, and that would actually bring in issues like smuggling of fuel into the country.
Yeah.
And you also have issues like maybe quality compromise and all those other issues. So really they're saying that is the only solution for us to continue importing and having cost-reflective pricing.
Yeah.
So that's the explanation.
Well, the question again is
to
what extent does Zambian have to understand the situation, you know? Because from that story we see that he was talking of the Ukraine and also Russia situation, the war to be specific. But then when you talk about this, maybe for a month, people will be like, oh, for sure, there is that external factor. But again, second month, third month, fourth month, how do you see people reacting to that, especially when it's borders on patience levels, and then they're just, you know, thinking of just life getting better and better since they voted for a new administration. So to what extent do people really have to understand that all these things are in play and they're the ones affecting our economy? So
well, maybe
that's
it's really a matter of communication, isn't it? Because maybe as journalists, if they explain, if they give that explanation, maybe it can be like, oh, that's the situation. But what about that person at the grassroots level in the rural areas? Do they understand what's happening, or they're just seeing prices changing, a reduction, an increment, and all that really? And so the other issue, Alex, again, has been on the monthly adjustments of fuel. Like stakeholders have had a concern saying, why don't you keep it maybe for like 6 months to make sure like there's consistency in some projects that people are doing, because you find this month your budget is like this, next month your budget is like that. But then we're hearing from the press briefing from the NH committee, they're saying it's actually good for us to keep changing monthly, because if there's a reduction, the consumer benefits immediately. So that's the explanation. They're saying the consumers will actually benefit directly instead of waiting for like 6 months, or maybe by that 6 months is actually an increment. So that's the idea, according to them. They're saying the consumer has to benefit directly.
But it's unlikely like we get fuel being adjusted downwards. In most cases, if you bear with me, we've just seen the upward adjustment.
When you had the reduction, once.
You have one quarter or something.
And you find that at that time when you had the reduction, people are, most stakeholders, well, go ahead.
Yes, because what usually happens is, whenever you have an hike in the hike in the fuel,
many people.
There will be that they call stakeholders meeting. You know, the RATSA, the likes of the Taxi and Buses Association, the likes of commuters, if at all they are on board, immediately, if not 2 days past the hike of prices. But then when it is reduced, we don't see that meeting anymore. So there have been calls from stakeholders to say, and they're meeting to reduce the prices in fares.
So really people have been saying people should appreciate when there's a reduction. They say, oh,
it should reflect, really.
If
should reflect.
There's an increment, they say, oh, it's bad. But then you find that people, when there's a reduction, people behave like nothing has happened. It's quiet.
And also, the other challenge, and I don't know if it's a challenge, but the other issue that people have been loud on is the issue of changing the prices instantly. You get the Energy Regulation Board announced today, maybe effective 24 hours the same day, and then you see cars parked on various fuel pumps station. So you get to see the change just instantly. But the question is, don't we have old stock fuel which can actually last for maybe for a week with the same prices, and then they get to change? Yes, they change immediately. Just from announcement, they go on to change the prices. But where is the old stock which you actually procured at a cheaper price? I mean, is that fair for an ordinary citizen? But anyways, those are some of the issues. So the numbers are 0973 167 and also 0968 675273. You can call in and just to make your submission on this particular topic of fuel adjustment monthly basis.
And actually, Alex, so now moving into our next segment, because it's already 8. So our next segment is on the constituency development fund. So what is your take? Do you feel that the CDF should be released quarterly, or maybe should it be released at once to make sure that there is easy planning for particular projects? Really, what is your take on the constituency development fund? And we're going to be joined by Iteji Member of Parliament, Honorable Mutinta Kwambo, to help us discuss the constituency development fund We'll just take a look at a story that was compiled by Prudence Trotter on the actual day when Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Gary Kombo, announced the release of CDF for the first quarter. So let's take a look at that story on CDF.
The Treasury has released to the Ministry 805,600,000 kwacha.
The delay by the government to release the constituency development funds brought about a lot of condemnation from stakeholders, including some opposition political parties.
That the government is going to release the CDF as quickly as possible, because we are almost finishing the first quarter of the year. We haven't received the CDF.
It's rightly that we must source them locally. Again, it remains as a mere pronouncement. We have not seen matching resources, to actualize that pronouncement.
After a long wait by the Zambian people for the government to release the anticipated CDF, which has been increased from 1.6 million kwacha to 25.7 million kwacha per constituency, the government has finally released 805 million kwacha CDF for the first quarter of 2022. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Kombo says of the total funds released, each constituency will receive 5.1 million kwacha to enable them implement various developmental projects. The minister announced this development in Lusaka Wednesday.
Today, again, the 30th of March 2022, the Treasury has released to the Ministry 805,600,000 kwacha. The total that covers the following components in the Constituency Development Fund: 1, the community projects; 2, the youth and the women empowerment components of the CDF. This is for the first quarter as well, and
Mr. Nkombo also says above 99 million kwacha for the bursaries for secondary schools and skills training institutions for the first quarter of the year have also been released.
Today, we have released the balance 99,268,342.47 ngwe to cover the first quarter of this year, which is basically the term. And so we want to confirm that we have fully funded the bursaries, having held back 50% owing to uncertainty on the absorption capacity.
The minister has since implored all local authorities countrywide to be mindful of the cost of goods and services as they implement various projects. Prudence Trotter, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Welcome back, and now we just dive into another segment. As we earlier talked about, you calling, the numbers are scrolling on the screen, and that is 0973 16 7840 and also 0968 675273. We're now joined in by Honorable Mtinta Twambo, who's actually the Itezi Member of Parliament. Good morning, Honorable.
Hi, good morning, colleagues, and good morning, dear listener.
Indeed.
Okay, good morning, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sapara.
Yeah, maybe before we even start talking about the CDF and the related issues, we'd love to know you, since it's the first time you are actually on our studios, how did you, journey into becoming a Member of Parliament for Ite State, to be specific? How has been just...
Thank you so much. So basically, Twambo Mtinta is a 38 years old young man. I come from the teaching background. I was a teacher in Ite State for 8 years. From there, I mysteriously left the ministry. And
mysterious?
Yes.
Maybe you can just provide more information on the mysterious.
I just discovered that perhaps when I was a teacher, I decided to go to the University of Zambia to do a course called Adult Education. Okay. And after doing that course, it transformed my mind to stop over-believing in classroom education, to start thinking that education does not only take place in the classroom, but there's education out there, there's informal education. So based on that background, I started feeling like being in a classroom was some form of fixating me I thought I needed to be more useful if I was going to support other forms of education out of the classroom. And that is what incited me to join the civil society organization. So from being a teacher, I went to work at YWCA in the gender, men's network issues around gender. From YWCA, I went to Panos, Southern Africa. Then from there, mysteriously, again, I was poached by Oxfam in Zambia, a British organization by then. And I worked for Oxfam for over 5 years. Not until a month before the election, that's when I resigned from Oxfam and joined the political sphere. So the moment when I joined civil society organizations, I felt that perhaps with my vast experience in the civil society organizations, my passion for issues around the young people, my passion for issues around women, and my passion to fight inequality, I thought the right place where I needed to render my services was in the political sphere. More important, I looked at my constituency testers, where I've invested, where I've grown up, which groomed me. The quality of leadership was not something I felt was good for me and was good for the people. And I thought I needed to venture in, because I'm a young person who believes that politics, you don't need to apply any form of witchcraft. You don't need to be rich. All what you need is just to apply a bit of logic. Planning, execute, plan, execute. Mobilize people, talk to the people, be good to the people, and you get it. And that is how I ventured into this political journey. And I can safely say the landslide victored with the cases of women and the young people. And those are the people that every day I spend sleepless nights thinking on how I'll transform their lives.
How are they? Maybe if we just, how are they doing? And
the young people and the women of Itestes, they are happy with the type of leadership they have from their member of parliament. They are happy with the type of leadership they have from the current president we have, who is my president and my president of choice, President Hakainde Chirama. We are currently managing the expectations. The pronouncements which government have made right now are the pronouncements that makes these people to be happy. And we are now in the process of actualizing what government promised to them. And it's slow but sure, like we always say it, being done methodically, so that at the end of the day, every Zambian, especially the young people and the women who have been neglected for so long, they benefit from the national cake.
Okay,
Sure.
so maybe you as area MP, one of the critical issues for you to actually deliver is the CDF.
Yes.
And people have been expecting this CDF, especially that was increased to 25.7 million from 1.6 million kwacha. But then, really, last week we saw the CDF for the first quarter released. That was on 30th of March. But then, it being for the first quarter, do you feel that the CDF delivery was timely, seeing that that was actually the second last day of the first quarter?
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Deborah. I think when we are talking about the forming government, we need to understand that it's a process. And when we're talking about the time release of CDF, like I've seen my two colleagues there, my fellow members of parliament from the other side, they are bringing out very valid points that the release of CDF was not timely. That I agree. However, we should understand where we're coming from. Where are we coming from? We're coming from a trajectory where, first of all, CDF was unequally distributed. Two, I'll give an example for Itestes. The 2020 CDF, they never got it. 2021 CDF, when we just formed government, that is when everyone now got 2021 CDF. And for your information, for the first time, the entire country was able to get CDF landing in the accounts for the councils for the first time, just when the UPND came into power. Meanwhile, this is a CDF which was coming based on the region. Some of the regions, they never used to get CDF. But for the first time, CDF was distributed. The one UPND distributed when we formed government was for 2021, for your information. That was only for 2022. We distributed in November. From January to December, it couldn't be distributed. Not until we won in September, October, November, that's when we distributed the backlog for 2021. It was distributed in November. Now, the 2022 CDF is dependent on the 2022 budget. Now, we completed debating the budget around the end of December. That's when I think you are very aware, gentlemen.
Yes,
that's when
that's for the war. Yes,
yes. So that is when the UPN government was struggling to complete the budget before we adjourned in December. Now it meant between September, when you came into office, up to December, this period was all about framing the budget, and we found a budget which was unequal, if I would say that. So we
in terms of distribution.
In terms of distribution, because we're coming from a background where this country was not equal.
Okay, so Honorable, maybe just to hold you a bit there, before even review our background and where we're coming from, the issue here is if the Honorable, who's actually the Minister in charge of local government and rural development, Mr. Gary Nkombo, could say this is a quarterly disbursement, and from my understanding, quarter cutters for the first 3 months. You understand? So
which is
that
January, February, March.
March ends at the first of the 31st day, but it was released on 30th of March. How do we ensure that we actually work around this timing so that we develop what we're supposed to develop in the first quarter? So the issue is about timing of the release. Don't you think it delayed before we even
I agree that the delay.
We appreciate the fact that the monies were released, but then do we see the time factor in play?
Yes.
And how do we explain
manage
that?
It. Okay, so like how I'm sorry you had to cut me. So what I'm saying is the delay is appreciated, and this delay is anticipated, especially that this is the first time we're executing this process. When executing a process of this magnitude, you expect a lot of teething issues. So I said the budget debate only ended in December. So we had 2 months to put our books in order and disperse. But more important, I will tell you that for testers, we received our 2021 CDF in December. So as I speak now, we are also aware that there have been a lot of issues around the capacity of councils. Now, me, I come from a civil society organization. I come from a donor organization, if I may say that. Throughout my 5 years, my job was to give money to local NGOs. You cannot lump a lot of money to councils when you are just starting a process. Because you need to test the waters. You need to test the ability of assimilation of the money. You need to test the ability of accountability. You need to test the ability of issues of value for money. So for me, the idea to distribute the money quarterly is the best when we are just starting. And the minister was very clear that we are testing the waters. With time, the amount of money will be doubled, depending on the expenditure levels. Because you need to be very careful when you are dealing with government, because you cannot lump an amount. I'll give an example for testers. The entire 2021 CDF, we have not spent it. We have not spent the 2021 CDF. Do you know the reason? It's not the incompetence of the council, no. From December, let me say from November to April, you cannot implement anything in the testers. As I speak now, 5 words, they're impossible.
Due to the road network.
Yes. Poor road network and the floods. So the entire 2021 CDF have not spent it. No one can go and build anything in some of those areas I'm talking about. So those are some of the issues that we should also appreciate. I wouldn't be comfortable to lump millions and millions of money to the council when our expenditure levels are still very low. I need to safeguard that money. I need to safeguard the capacity of the councils. With proof that we're able to assimilate this money, indeed, we'll be able to accelerate and double the allocations. Just like the minister did mention. He mentioned this very clearly in Parliament 2 or 3 days ago, that with proof that there is good assimilation of these monies, these amounts will be doubled. However, this delay is appreciated. And for me, we look forward to normalizing the situation. Normalizing the situation, for the first time, money is being distributed equally. That's a debatable issue. For the first time, money is being distributed timely. And that is what we want. Once we deal with the timely distribution, but more important is the conversation of assimilation. Let's wait for the next 6 months and see how we will absorb these monies. Just giving money is one thing. The rate of absorption is another thing. So we shall talk about this debate when we see how the councils absorb these monies. Because we can talk of bigger lump sum now. Should we prove that 80% of the councils in the next 2 months they would have only spent 1%? What would be the argument? What would be the argument?
Yeah, you've talked about not piling money, lots of money on a specific council. My question is, there's also a crucial role that the ward development committees are playing in this implementation process. Do you think they are well equipped to handle such big amounts, like at this level? Yeah.
Okay, so the monies are not handled by the ward development committee. What the ward development committee are managing are processes. In terms of the administration of CDF, the starting point is the ward development committee, and we need to thank the UPND government and President Againde, because what President Againde did by pronouncing CDF is a true demonstration of fighting inequality. What do I mean? You are very young like me, Sipora. We started talking about decentralization, myself, when I was in grade 7. That is when the conversation of decentralization started. I'm sure I could have been in grade 2. From grade 7, I've been following politics myself. This issue of decentralization has failed to be actualized. But just a vote of UPND it became a pattern. We saw decentralization. What does decentralization mean, and what does this CDF mean? It means, for the first time, Zipporah, your grandmother has a say in the development of this country. For the first time, villagers, they have a say. Let me mention that the calls I receive, Zipporah, they are not about YMP, I'm asking for money. They are about YMP, we need the school. YMP, we need the teacher. YMP, we need the clinic. I think for me, that is recommendable. The community members, they now feel that they can decide what they want. This has never happened in the history of Zambia. We are now empowering the people. This is how you fight inequality. You are now giving everyone space to decide. And this decision is where now the ward development committees come. These are the people that are calling meetings in the communities. Call all the women, call the disabled, call the men, call the girls, call the children. Ask them, what do you want in this particular geographical area? Every person, he needs to demand what he thinks is what is needed. The moment those meetings are done, the ward development committee now, they will put up proposals of what they want to be done, sending it to the MP and the council. So me, I will not decide what the people want in the testers in a particular ward. It's the ward development committee in consultation with the diverse groups of people who would decide that we want a clinic here, we don't want a school. Or what me as an MP would do, and the Council Development Committee and the Council, is just to check how viable are those projects, are they benefiting different type of people in the community. Now, as I mentioned, this is the first time we're doing this exercise. The Ward Development Committee might not be well prepared to undertake this activity. We need to be very honest. But I can assure you, going forward, for MPs like me, who is very assertive and who understands the value of consulting everyone, and who understands the value of fighting inequality, of fighting centralization, I've been working with different stakeholders. Zambia Council for Social Development is one of them. Fighting Inequality Alliance is one of them. I've been working with Oxfam in Zambia. They've gone in my constituents to go and train the Ward Development Committee chairpersons for them to understand issues of inequality. How shall these monies be distributed? Because if the Ward Development Committees are not well trained, they will distribute resources closer to their homes, or they will go closer to the chiefdoms. But we need the community members who understand that these monies, they should benefit the most disadvantaged groups. How shall these monies benefit children? How shall these monies benefit women? How shall these monies benefit the disabled? For me as a member of parliament, I will override if I will discover that what they are proposing does not benefit women. I will override if what they will be deciding does not benefit the disabled. I've got that responsibility to fight inequality and defend the marginalized groups. So these groups, indeed, they need to be equipped with the right information so that they are not representing their interest, but they should represent interests of the marginalized groups. We are talking about school bursaries and the skills bursaries. Will they put their children? No. These are the people that should recommend children who come from single mothers' homes, the way I was brought up. These are the World Development Committee who should recommend children who come from families of old people, parents who are not employed, children living with HIV and AIDS, the girls who are victims of the reentry policy. These are the ones who should be recommended by the World Development Committee. So my role as a member of parliament is to check that what these World Development Committees will be doing is something that demonstrates that the vulnerable groups are not left in this process. This CDF is not meant to benefit people from Lusaka, like my president did mention. This CDF is not meant to benefit the people of Iteste Central. That is what I'll guard. This CDF should benefit the rural-most people. That is where there is poverty. It's not for the central districts. It's not for the periphery. No. And that is the intention of CDF. Let the common person have a voice. Let the poorest person benefit. And let the decisions of the World Development Committee, if they are in the right perspective, not be stamped upon by the MP or by the council. No. That is what we want to see. And that way, we will see everyone feeling that is a Zambian. They will be singing the national anthem with esteem. As we speak now, you can't sing the national anthem happy, because there's no reason to be happy. We want to ignite that.
Well, we are live on your screens and we're discussing CDF right here, and the numbers are scrolling on the screens are 0973 167840 and also 0968 675273. That is 0973 167840 and 0968 675273. So you can call us and just we get to hear your contribution on this same topic. And we are also live on Facebook, Camnet TV. You can search up our page and make contribution there in the comment section. We'll be able to review them. We are joined in by Ms. Honorable Mtinta Twambo, that is a member of Parliament, to discuss on this particular topic. Zebora.
Yes, and so Honorable, really maybe now that the first quarter, CDF for the first quarter has been released, do you feel that enough capacity has been built in people in your constituency, or you have a core actually?
Hello?
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Yes.
I'm speaking to Camnet, right?
Sure.
Yes, yes. Please tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and your contribution.
My full name is Bright Wanyanga, calling you from Kakwimposhi and working while I follow the program.
The contribution, sir.
I must say I'm happy with how Honorable Mtinta is articulating these issues. Truly, with an insight that we made, we are ready for something very beneficial to the poor people, and how he's explaining to us. Though I've got a little bit of some more areas that I need to point out that the people need attention, especially to my constituents, because I'm not going to speak about a constituency where I don't live and I don't know what is happening in there. Well, Kakwimposhi is the king of a very lucky area because it's located in the center of Great North, the Copper Belt, the airline passes here, and this is a constituency that is led by our own Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. One thing I want to state is Kakwimposhi needs a change of the face of this place. For a long time, so many governments have come, have gone, this is now the current government. Truly, the state of Kakwimposhi isn't exhibiting what it is supposed to be like as of now. This is a place where we've got a example where copper is being offloaded and all that. But when you look at the face of Kapulimposhi, it's far from that. So, just to be specific on issues, number one, Kapulimposhi is a town that doesn't have got drainage system that you can point us to say, well, this is the drainage system of Kapulimposhi. Number two, just a simple township called of Kapulimposhi. It is indeed a very sad situation when you look at Kapulimposhi itself. It doesn't look like a town. It doesn't look like the district that is supposed to have development in the near future to come. I was happy, probably towards the end of the tenure of office of our Honorable MP, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We saw the coming in of street lights and all that, but day by day, those street lights are getting damaged, and nothing is being done. There was a very beautiful street light along the road from Materials down to Riverside Market. Right now, there is no light that is happening, and it's scary for people to move around 21 hours and beyond, because this place is now dark. It's no longer the way it used to be. The rural part of Kapulimposhi is still the same. Words have got a lot that needs to be done. I have to say that I'm happy to see that last week we saw the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kapulimposhi celebrating when Fubera Ward has received a project where there are a lot that needs to be done. But a lot needs to be done. We are entirely pleading to our Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Please pay attention to your constituents. We know you are a very busy minister, but pay attention to your constituents. Get down to the bottom of the situation. And these towards development committees that you are forming, please, I'm also showing to Honorable Committee. When you are picking members to belong to this committee, like you said, I'm happy how you are explaining issues. It needs to be inclusive, even the most poor people. But the criteria of picking these people to belong to these committees should be indeed a process that will include a lot of people in order to get different views from different people. Let's not politicize it. Let's not make it something that needs to be picking people and setting and all that. Let's include a number of people that are going to represent the communities so that we are able to find the problem and the solution to those problems that are going to discover. Really, Kapulimposhi needs a lot of attention. I'm telling you, the district has got potential, but lots of things need to be done to this constituency, and it is amazing.
As you conclude, what?
Thank you so much.
Sure.
I think it's very
yeah, I wanted to ask him in terms of the quarterly system of dispersion. But anyway, it's been clear in terms of the backlog of developing things that we having. Even in your preamble, you actually mentioned to say, even in your constituency, it's something that you haven't done much of development and you haven't used much the last disbursement of the fund.
Yeah.
But then
maybe just to respond to
how best can we develop
to the colleague who just spoke. I think thank you so much for the kudos, and I want to first of all also thank him. You know, he's speaking with passion, and that demonstrates how much he wants the district to change. And the ability for him to comment is as a result of what the European government has done, decentralization. It means now everyone can point at where he thinks we should invest. But more important, I want to mention that perhaps the Minister Kakobo and the MP Kakobo, he might have very little influence on what kind of projects should go to Kapili now. It should be the people themselves. That is the concept of decentralization. The people themselves that should point at the areas which we feel that Kapili has not been moving for a long time. But more important, I want to also to mention to the colleague that we are coming from a rough background. I'll just give you an example. I'll just give him an example. Look at the allocation of clinics. When the government was allocating clinics, how were they distributed versus the districts? Look at the allocation of roads. I think these revelations have been made in Parliament. Look at the allocation of feeder roads. Look at the allocation of clinics. Look at the deployment of staff in most of these nurses. Look at issues around even the same equalization fund, if you check properly, you discover that Kapiti Council was not receiving the local government equalization fund for a long time in order for them to execute some of these problems. Look at issues around allocation of or even FISIP. How was it being distributed? So you discover that we're coming from a background where this country was not being treated equal. We are now at the point of wanting to stabilize. Let someone fail with resources. Unlike what the centralized government were coming from was doing. It was not giving equal opportunities for the people. Perhaps the people of Iteses were getting more than the people of Kapiti, despite the potential of Kapiti. The people of Kamwata perhaps were getting more than the people of Kapiti. And these are some of the issues that we feel as government we need to stabilize by providing equal opportunities, equal spaces, and creating opportunities that are just going to treat every district as a Zambian district, unlike where I'm coming from. Can I quickly comment on picking the members of the Ward Development Committee? The Member of Parliament only picks the Constituency Development Committee members, not the Ward Development Committee members. Those are chosen by the community, with representation amongst NGOs, the disabled, the teachers, and all those other groups. But indeed, I want to agree with him. At the point where members of Parliament are choosing the Constituency Development Committee members, those about 5, 6, really, the members of Parliament, they needed to do a serious introspection. That was not a moment of politics. It was a moment of love for the constituents. The members of Parliament who decided to choose CDF committee members on a partisan line, I think they did a disservice to their people. And the results will show. For the members of Parliament who applied the logic, who applied the love, who didn't mean well, and who wants their constituents to develop, they had to choose the right people.
So going forward, how do we avoid people being chosen in partisan lines?
It's about more sensitization to the members of Parliament.
Just hold on to that, Honorable. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is we are calling from the constituency.
Okay. Thank you so much. Your contribution.
Okay. We just want to appreciate our honorable from the our MP from the for the thing that he has been doing for us. During the campaign, he reached out to us, talked to us, and during his, the reign of the county, he still reaches to us and consults us. That we appreciate his stuff. I want to agree with what our honorable Sinta said regarding other parts of the country being left out during the past regime. I think it has suffered that a lot. It's one of those constituencies that we are left out in the past regime. I'll give an example. Look at what legislation says. It has been bad, and it was bad in the last regime. It was bad, and it was never went on. The other thing that I'll give, this year inherited something that was hard to fix in the shortest period of time. And as they begin to fix, they can't fix everything at a later. I'll give an example. Look at the posting of the 11,000 health workers. I will just give an example of lab personnel. In this department, we are having 580 lab personnel being deployed, but you can say the constituent is going to receive 9 of those out of 580. That's going to give a picture on how they say they was being looked out, was being looked at in the past regime. And again, I also want to take this opportunity to communicate to our honorable Mukinda. I don't know if this will work for us. The CTF has been increased to 25 million with both in the government. But when I take a look at our constituency,
can work, because I believe, for me, I believe it's better to teach someone how to fish than using that they can fish every time. So I feel in this CDF, if it's possible, let the council together with the district administration office, maybe use the CDF to come up with something like a factory that would employ fellows to add value to what we produce within the case. And even the fish industry, we have a lot of beef in our area to produce beef. Let's use this CDF to come up with something like a factory that will employ people and do value addition to this product that will teach people how to do this business, and actually it will make profit for us as a consumer and see other projects coming out of that, because you cannot only depend on CDF that we will receive today, do this, it finishes, we start looking into another, maybe start complaining. Let's use this CDF as a business capital in our constituency to bring more profit and develop our constituency very fast. I thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
So Zipporah, that just demonstrates how intelligent the young people of Itesteze are. And this is what makes me a better young people, because I get views from such kind of young people. And I speak to them constant. Mind you, this is representative democracy. You don't come to parliament representing yourself. You don't come to parliament representing yourself. A quick one. Indeed, the gentleman is bringing out very valid points, and thank you for the feedback. Issues of unemployment, colleagues, are the issues that this CDF wants to deal with. But again, you talked about sensitization of these young people. Indeed, it has not been done. It hasn't been enough. I want to agree with you, because like I mentioned, we are just starting. These young people, they are busy applying for the loans, for empowerment, they are applying for grants. But indeed, they don't have a very clear plan how they want to use these monies. In PF, people would get loans and get married. People would get loans and fund their weddings. People would get loans and start a music industry. This is what UPND is aspiring for. Like Xavier is saying here, in Itesteze, the intention is when these young people get these small monies, my plan is to ask them to put the monies together and start something which is sustainable, something which will be more like an industry. When you are getting these monies for CDF, these young people need guidance. Gone are the days when people should invest money in piggery, chicken, what? No. People should think technological innovation. People should think innovation around agriculture. People should think innovations around manufacturing and processing. In Itesteze, we've got, Itesteze has over 148,000 animals, one of the largest in Zambia. We are talking about ideas into coming up with an abattoir owned by the young people. We've got fish in Itesteze. We don't have fish storage. We don't have industry that can add value to fish. Young people, can they come together and come up with one industry which would be more sustainable? We've got mangoes. These are some of the ideas that I'm trying to initiate to the young people. But more important, on unemployment, colleagues, I'm spending sleepless nights convincing the young people of Itesteze that peace works. I receive calls every day. Everyone asking me, Honorable, help me to be clean. I say, no. I will not help young people to be clean at a hospital. I will not help a young person to slash for ZESCO. If I do that as a young member of parliament, then I'm not being fair to the young people. I'm telling the young people, can you go and get a skill? Government has put over 5 million youth skills bursary. They want young people to go and get a skill so that they will not ask for employment, but they will employ themselves. And for all information, colleagues, this CDF is an industry on its own. Zambia rural constituencies will become manufacturing industries. These young people who have trades, who have skills, these are the young people that will be involved in construction. Zambia should be a construction site. These rural areas, these wards will be construction sites. As I speak now, in my 15 wards, by next month in each ward, there will be some form of construction going on. Meaning, somewhere will be providing a bit of jobs to the young people. Those with trades, those again, we don't need to compromise quality. When government says here's free money, go and get a piece of paper, go and get accreditation, go to Rusaka Trades, go to Monze Trades, go to Mawagari, go to Kawe Trades. The young people are not seeing the value of getting a paper.
Let's just take that call. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from, please?
Well, I'm calling from Livingston.
From Livingston. What's your name, sir?
I'm Reverend Boston Sika Smomba.
Great. Your contribution?
My contribution, first of all, I want to applaud the Member of Parliament there, from Mr. Stevens.
Thank you.
I think in the mindset he has, that's what we need in our generation, to be logical and to face the facts squarely. Because we need to communicate where people are able to understand you as a Member of Parliament, and they must also understand the people whom you are leading. Because you cannot lead the people who do not understand, and the people whom you are leading do not understand the confusion. Now, I want to bring attention to the Member of Parliament and use him as a point of contact for other Member of Parliament in our country.
Indeed.
Number one, I like the New Dawn government in the way things are doing it, because there is the issue of consultation. You know, because consultation is very, very important. Now, with the CTF, these are quite a lot sum of money, which has never been in Zambia, and this for the first time. But the issue of money always brings the aspect of corruption. When the money enters into the system of the people, there must be some kind of check-up how the money is being used, because corruption is a cancer to development. And then also, this decentralization has the aspect of bottom-up. Previously, there was so much of top-bottom. When it is top-bottom, you just give commands and you don't care what people are saying. But with this arrangement of decentralization, any Member of Parliament must listen to the people who voted them into Parliament, because they give you the feedback and know that what is needed. So he needs to make comments on that one, and on the aspect of schools. When I look at the PF constitution, mind you, I enjoy politics. The PF manifesto, they are quite good things, but the problem was in implementation. So even with the New Dawn government, what we are saying that you are also another aspect, good things, but we'll be able to look at the implementation. Number one, I'm coming from health child education. So now, the schools in the rural areas, will this CDF fund help the preschool section and the teachers there? Because once this takes stage in the rural setting area, the education which is free will be very efficient for the people to be coming up, so that when we start checking ourselves, how far are we doing in education? Then the other point, the aspect of job creation. This syndrome of nepotism and the tribalism must come to an end, because tribalism and corruption, these are the two sides of the coin. So if we deal with corruption, let's also deal with nepotism or tribalism. If you go to the Bible, Joseph, when he was in the prison, and the Pharaoh was able to make him a person who has wisdom and logic to bring solution to the problem. So like the Member Parliament said, you need to look at the people who are able to solve the problem. So, Member Parliament, sir, Honorable Mr. I've been following you. So it's right to allow parliament, and the state must develop, must be clear after 5 years. I'm watching you. And I want also to make sure that other members of parliament, they must not be absent from their constituents. In the name of no, we are on the trick. If the government duties in your constituents, come here. We need you and be our voices.
Thank you.
I've spoken so much. Thank you so much. I need the attention from that.
Thank you so much. Quite profound there. Just maybe a comment to that, especially the issue of transparency in the accountability in the implementation process.
Thank you so much, and thank you, the colleague from Eviction, for the kudos. I think it gives us energy to continue working for the people. The most important thing, colleagues, when you stopped what you were doing when you joined politics, you should also be very sure why did you join politics. Is to work for the poor people, those that didn't have a voice and those that were always trampled on. For us, that is our agenda. A quick one: corruption. Indeed, where there is money, there will be corruption. I've made it very clear that we will not allow any form of corruption in the testers around the CDF. And I've told the council that should anyone be having an agenda to benefit from CDF, not with people like me as a member of parliament, I think that there will be no space for anyone to steal from the poor people. That will not be done. And one of the strategies I'm using, accountability is not only how you spend money. Accountability is about how you share information. People should know who has been given a contract. People should know how much has been given. And I've told all the schools, all the health facilities, all the communities where CDF project will be done, they should also have got the contract. They should know how much was given to them, who was the contractor, what is the BOQ. That is how you build accountability. Quickly, let me talk about issues around the nepotism and unemployment. As I speak now, we are recruiting teachers and nurses. Go to my Facebook page. Go to my Itezes constituency page. I'm busy posting every day that don't pay anyone to be employed as a teacher. Don't ask for a sexual favor to be employed as a teacher. Don't pay anyone to be employed as a nurse. The process in Itezes, it will be transparent and accountable. We want the poor children to be employed now. The only thing we are doing, Zepola, I'm guarding the space of Itezes. The young people in the rural areas of Itezes who are trained nurses, trained teachers, they will be given priority as long as I'm the member of parliament of Itezes. Anyone else will be second choice. I don't want to start looking for accommodation for anyone. I want the children who are already used to those villages, who already have where to stay, to be the one to be given priority. We are not saying we will not allow others. Others will be second choice. But priority should be given to those are the poor children that never had the money to pay anyone. Those are the poor children that did not give in to sex to be given employment. I'm preaching that should anyone have information of any HR who is asking for a sexual favor, who is asking for money to any youth of Itezes, that person will go faster than he came. UPND should give opportunities to the poor, and those are my poor youth who have been waiting for jobs for 30 years, will defend their space.
Okay, even as we conclude, Honorable, like earlier I was trying to ask, saying now that you have the CDF released, have we seen enough capacity building? Maybe, for example, do the youth and women, maybe do they know how to draft business proposals? Has there been enough sensitization on people to apply for bursaries? Because we've heard sentiments, maybe not in your constituency, but maybe in other constituencies, where people are saying only the educated really know that they have to apply.
Yeah,
Has there been enough sensitization?
I agree again that sensitization hasn't been up to what I would want, but I've gone flat out myself as a member of parliament. It's my responsibility. We are dealing with councils that may not have the capacity to lobby for funds for people to come and do capacity building to the constituency. As I speak now, Zipora, I've written to Transparency International a proposal myself. Ask them to come and train my people on issues of accountability, issues of transparency, issues of not stealing the money for the poor people. So I've written to Transparency International to come and train my people so that they should be forewarned that they shouldn't steal people's money. I've written to Oxfam to come and train my people on issues of inequality. And the Fighting Inequality Alliance has already started those trainings. I've written to Plan Zambia to
to come and train those poor community members of the World Development Committee, to train them on gender budgeting. We don't want CDF to benefit only the men. CDF should benefit everyone. I've written to Children Media Network to come and train the communities to understand the needs of the children. CDF should benefit children. So we need these people to have that broader mind so that when they are allocating resources, these resources should not segment inequality. They should fight inequality so that every member of this community gets a share. As I conclude, colleagues, UPND means well. And the CDF is a serious form of fighting inequality. There are a lot of teething issues, certain areas not having boarding facilities, young people not being trained, young people not able to understand the value of apprenticeship jobs, still wanting white-collar jobs, the delayed allocation of delayed disbursement of these monies, trying to gauge their absorption levels. All these are the issues that happens when you are starting. And government has made it very clear that they will continue reviewing the guidelines so that they work for the people. Thank you so much, and I submit.
Thank you so much. That was Honorable Mtita Twambo, who's actually a Stacey Member of Parliament, who joined us to discuss the CDF, both at general perspective and also to be specific in his constituency. Yes, Deborah, just
yes,
maybe
that was
to
a
conclude.
very interesting interview, and earlier we were talking about fuel increments, and we had different views on the same matter. So until tomorrow, join us from 7 hours to 9 hours at the same time. From us, it's good morning.